Okay, so this takes us to where we want to go from here. So I messaged you with an idea that I had, which was space scavengers, which is cool. So the guy that that designs this game is Shawn Thompson. Tomkin. Shawn Tomkin. Now I'm gonna have to look it up. Hold on a second.
Oh, you're gonna feel bad about that, aren't you?
Tomkin, I got it right the second time. I was close enough. Shawn Tomkin, without a P, so Tomkin. Anyways, he's working on a separate game, which is a spawn off from Ironsworn called Starforge, and it's not it's one of the files that I uploaded in here. It's the working preview of the idea that he has, but it's mostly a straight lift and shift copy from Ironsworn with a couple changes, getting into things like being able to have a ship. The relationship moves are a little more fleshed out. They go into the whole in Ironsworn when you go to a town, you do the whole sojourn move.
Yeah.
So this makes it a little more personal, where instead of doing sojourning, you go to a town or a place and you have to make a contact. So if you're trying to resupply, you make a contact with somebody who would be your resupplying person, or somebody who could provide you with some kind of spiritual guidance or refreshment. Your local brothel, your local drug dealer, your priest, your whatever it's gonna be.
Sorry, all I heard was local drug dealer.
Your friendly local drug dealer. Exactly, like you do. And I liked that because sojourning in Ironsworn always felt really impersonal. Until you decided to make it personal, usually because something came up, it felt like you were dealing with the town, and that felt washed.
Now that you mention it, that is something that felt awkward.
Yes.
Yeah.
So and now my mind immediately jumps to that town that we did. The crazy town of 5 hours, or however, it felt like 5 hours. It wasn't, with the Chimera.
The one where we fought the Chimera?
That's the one. You know exactly what the one I'm talking about.
So we spent all of that time and energy, and we actually made bonds with people there.
We did.
When it was supposed to just be, we're stopping here because we need to rest.
At Podunk Town. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we didn't want to stay there. That place was a train wreck. We just were like, can we please leave? Can we leave now? No, not now. Yeah, that whole thing happened because we missed a supply roll. We were trying to resupply before we left, and your cave line kept getting us into trouble, which was brilliant. I loved your cave line. So good. Charles or Chuckles or what was his name again? Bonzo?
No, he had a cool name. I don't remember what it is.
Bozo, Fonzie. It was something cool. So
up here somewhere.
Yeah. So but a big difference in this is that when you want to make that roll, that connection, they have a move that's specifically for, and actually I have the document open. Let me see if I can find it. It is, most of these moves are exactly the same. There's just a couple that are different. Make a connection. So you have to make a connection with a person. When you want to swear an iron vow and do a thing, the game tells you need to find a patron. Somebody who you're trying to do a job for. When you're trying to heal, you have to find a healer. You're trying to resupply, you're trying to find a dealer. If you want to repair something, you have to find a fixer. If you want to gather information, you got to find an informant, et cetera, et cetera. And I thought that's so cool because right up front, instead of just being oh, I'm going to say hi to the town. Hello, town. I need some things and stuff. Would you help me with the things and stuff? Things and stuff. It's like Bed Bath and Beyond, but it's more broad. It's things and stuff. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. So I thought that was cool. There's a couple things in here where I would say, man, it'd be really handy if this was in Ironsworn, and I would probably just steal it from here and put it into Ironsworn.
Which, by the way, cave line's name was Borg.
Blorg.
Borg.
Borg. It was Borg. Yes, it was. Borg. Yes.
Borg.
I remember now.
He was a touchy cave line.
He really that freaking cave. He would He was very sensitive, but he would also run off and do his own thing constantly. It's like nonstop. Very independent. That's right. He's a self-starter. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but no, so this was cool because in the Starforge stuff, it's you're establishing a person-to-person connection, and then beyond that, your bonds that you make, these connections you make, they're not full bonds yet. So they act as like this in-between thing where when you make this connection, you're actually supposed to start like you do when you're going on a journey or doing an iron vow or whatever. You create a progress track for your connection. And then as it advances, and it advances by doing things. So if you do things for your connection, if you have friendly interactions or profitable interactions with the connection, or if you do things for the connection or stand by your connection or whatever, basically any kind of positive interactions, you get to advance it. And if you get enough, you can roll against it like you would an iron vow. And and then when that happens, you can forge a bond and kind of evolve your relationship. And then you get some bonus things. But you also get these, they call them influence in this game because they introduce influence and reputation in Starforge. So what you do is you're establishing who the person is, and then how powerful they are or what their scale or scope is will determine their rating. So if they're like some little piddling, who cares, whatever, then this would be like a troublesome little connection. No big deal. And so you'd advance really quickly with this connection. But then having this connection means like, what can they do for you? Well, it's limited. It's really not that great. It's, it's whatever, versus having, the trade guild, like, oh, that's really big. But to make them like you is way harder. But then if you can make them like you, that's really big. Like they're, that's really helpful. So I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah. Anyways, so for new game, what I thought we could do is we can go through world building again. I'll have to find the world building sheet. Let me find. Oh, here it is. World workbook. And then what we can also do is we can just create a new document. And I will share this document with you as well. Create and share. I'm going to put it in the main folder that I shared with you. And we're going to call it Starforge Space Scavengers. There we go. We're scavengers in space. Okay, let's go to Starforge.
We have dinosaurs.
We cannot have dinosaurs in space.
No.
Sorry. But we're going to have space whales apparently, so that's okay.
I want a dinosaur companion.
No, I'm sorry. Let's see here. Core Delve. It was Core. The World Workbook. Let me actually pop over to here. I think we had the list in world building. Here we go. Let me edit this. I'm just going to grab everything from our world building document. Cancel. And put it, paste into here. Boom. Do you need me to send you the link, or can you find it from the? No.
So I'm not seeing it in the main folder.
You may have to refresh it.
I have. Gone out and then back in.
Did I put it? I didn't put in core. So it's under Ironsworn. So it's not under core or Delve or Starforge. It's just under my drive, Ironsworn.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. Oh, it's because I didn't share it with you. So,
I was gonna say, did you make sure you shared everything?
I did not. Okay, try refreshing it now.
Still not seeing it.
What account are you logged in with? Or are you logged in?
I'm logged in.
As your personal account?
As my work account.
Ah, that would be why. Do you want me to share with your work account?
Sure.
1 second.
That was the easiest one for me to get into.
There you go. And it is shared, so go ahead and refresh it.
Woohoo! Oh, I didn't even have to refresh it. It just appeared.
Nice.
Yeah. Cool.
Cool. Okay, so a theme that I had with this was, and actually I'm actually gonna bring up Steam just so I can read the damn thing because it was so cool. There's a game that I've been following on Steam that's being developed right now. Let me find it. And the name is called Astronauts.
Suspense. Is what?
It's called Astronauts. Ostranauts. Astronauts. Yeah, and
in space.
They're going to be astronauts in space. It's there's a game. The developer is making this other game. They made this other game that's called Yeah, have you heard of it before? It's a really it's actually not popular at all. It's super not popular. It's based on a game called Neo Scavenger, where the Earth it's like an apocalypse world type setting, on the Earth, and everything is bad and horrible and terrible and etc. But we were a spacefaring we're spacefaring humans before the apocalypse came. And so, hold on a second. Let me come back over here a second, and then come to where is none of those things. Maybe here. Here we go. Okay. There we go. Okay, cool. So in this one, it's the Earth got all messed up. It was super bad, but we'd been exploring the solar system before it happened.
Yeah.
And so on Earth, it's apocalypse world and terribleness, but everybody who's off of Earth is not having to deal with that crap, but they have to deal with, living in space. Exactly, different crap. And so, there's no terraformed planets or any of that crap. It's just, we live on spaceships and space stations and all this stuff. And it's supposed to be the description reads, it's a noir spaceship sim set in a solar system cut off from a ravaged Earth. You're living your life on your spaceship. You're hiring your crew and dealing with all their crap. You're trying to manage your crew, go on jobs, and fend off bankruptcy or worse, etc.
Did you ever play Firefly, the board game?
I have heard of Firefly, the board game, and I want to pick it up at some point.
Yeah, well, we have it, so you should borrow
it. Oh, do you?
That sounds almost exactly like Firefly, the board game.
It's Firefly, but less like Firefly is very look, cowboys in space kind of a thing.
The board game is all about you have specific jobs to do, and you have to do them and make money, because to win, there's a couple different ways to win, but like the start out one is you have to pay off all of your debts, and you have to have this amount of money to do it.
So the idea that I had for this one, and the theme for this game that I liked, is that it's everybody's fighting for everything, and every little thing that comes up is there's just not a lot of it. So everything is a freaking scarcity, and so everybody's going for yeah, and yeah. So it's like Firefly, but gritty and dark and just and mean. And then of course then Ironsworn came into mind. Like we're the friggin' ironmongers. Like we're the ones who are going in and having to do all this scavenging and coming back with the most, maybe not basic materials, but it's but all the stuff out here is limited. And then not to mention, you can still have all the cool stuff that's in Ironsworn, your firstborn, your whatever. You can still have space elves. You can have giant whales. You can have space giants, all the things. Cool. So I figure what we can do to start with is we can just go to the world building. So I'm in the document here. So some of this stuff I'll say we'll probably go off book for. Let's see, where is, let me come back to core and the workbook. So the old world, I think the old world is Earth. Well, the old world is definitely Earth in our case. But here's a question: was this relatively recent? Do we want this to be relatively recent, or do we want this to be like an apocalypse world style where we're like multiple generations removed? Like we grew up in this world of living in space.
I think it'd be interesting to play that like we're the first generation that's lived in space. Like there's still some people who remember Earth and, you know, talk about it from their youth, but like our characters, most of the characters we interact with, like this is the world that they've known and they're totally used to it. And, you know, those old Earthers just don't think the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Did you freeze?
No, I'm still here.
Okay.
I'm typing on on the document and thinking like my face was locked in a stock position. I like that. Yeah, the old world. Yeah. So Earth. Can you see what I'm typing here, by the way?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Is there anything you want to add to this? For the old world, do we have any? I feel like we shouldn't have contact with. Like we should be cut off and just like screwed up here.
Oh yeah. Like I'm assuming like the pulse hit or something, and like there's no way for the Earth to contact anyone, and we don't even know if there's anyone still alive, really.
Okay. Cool. In space. Okay. Now, as far as iron is concerned, let me come back over and find the thing. So iron. So this is the thing that makes us the Ironborn. I have an idea for this as far as like who we are, and I think this comes into our purpose in being. In my mind, what I'd like this to be is, because I think this has potential for lots of refresh replayability, and then the story becomes kind of how we go through it. But I feel like this is a world of scavenging, and we'll have to come up with, we still haven't defined, you know, why or what we're scavenging or why it's around or what kind of things. But I feel like we are, like, we've entered the world of like professional, I don't want to say like licensed, but like approved salvagers. Mm-hmm. And I feel like salvaging is like a really big deal, and it's probably one of those things where,
well, that's probably the only place where we can get new resources, things that you don't already have.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Or lost stuff. Like, you know, this is a world where, you know, where humans had been, you know, we'd started to go out into the solar system, and we started to build stations and build things, and we were doing mining, and we're doing all this stuff, and then something bad happened on Earth, at least, and then everything like went chaotic, as is wont to do when there's this big upheaval. And so there's all this stuff that's ripe for the taking, but everybody wants it. And so there's all this stuff that's out there, but all the knowledge has been lost around it. Like, you know, where it was at, why it was there, what's in it, who knows? Some people know, and then there are the people that they pay to go and get those things. And then, like, in my mind, there's this, it would be interesting because you'd have almost like, you know, the information brokers. They're the ones who like find the stuff and where it's at, but they're not the people who go out there and get it. Like, that's just dangerous. Like, I ain't gonna go there and get it. Like, that's stupid. It's gone missing, or it's gone dark and we don't know why. And then as soon as they know, the chances of somebody else knowing and being right behind it is probably really close. So it's dangerous.
So that's my question, is there some sort of like space code for scavengers, or is it just like a free-for-all?
So I think for ours, there's probably a space code. There's probably like on the up and up, legit people, and they're the ones who actually make, you know, like the real money and do the real stuff. You know, we're the ones who are acting legit. And then there's like pirates and shit. There's like everybody else out there who says, like, as soon as they can figure it out, whatever, I don't care, I'll go and do it. Like, you know, they're not necessarily
the fittest.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's all stuff we have to deal with. But the iron thing that I was thinking of is that, like, when we take a job, because one of the big things with one of the new things they added with Starforge is influence and rep. And so as you're making these connections, you get influence, and then when you have enough influence, you can raise your reputation with people. So reputation is a big thing, and screwing over people can ding your rep, which was cool. And so the idea that I had in mind was like when you're bona fide, when you're legit, and you take one of these jobs, like if you like give them like your token of iron, which has like your signet or your like this is your business card, and it says, I'm gonna do this thing for you, and then I give it to you, and then when I do the job, I get it back. And if I don't get it back, then like they can turn that over to somebody. Like they can go to bounty hunters and some shit and just say, hey, they took this job, I gave them the knowledge, I gave them the information, the location, and then they didn't bring it back. Like they just either they failed or they took the stuff and they ran for themselves.
Yeah. So
go find them and kill them.
Or...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Bonafide salvagers. What's a cool name for our the kind of salvagers that we are? And there has to be a value to being like if we're these people, and word gets around. That's the other thing too. So word gets around if you're a bona fide or if you're not. So if you try to go and trade in this stuff, people start asking questions because it's a small community. There's not a lot of us out here. And if you're on the up and up, then you get admitted freely to these stations because you're on the up and up. And then, and you want to keep us around because we're the ones that find all the stuff that keeps you guys alive. And if you're not, like if you're a fucking pirate, they're like, to hell with you. We're not letting you in here. Just go pound sand.
Yeah. What if it's something like, I don't know, kind of a name for us, but maybe it's been turned into something else? Like, what if they're gophers?
Mm-hmm.
That's just an idea.
We're iron gophers.
Acquisition specialist. I like that.
There we go.
Why don't we just go with acquisition specialist? I think that sounds better.
I mean, we probably call ourselves acquisition specialists, and then everybody's like, yeah, sure, go for it.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I like it. Okay. So awesome. And then legacies. Let's see here. What is the legacy thing? The first humans to walk the lands. So the humans in general. So this is kind of an expansion from the old world.
Yeah.
We're the first through third generation Earth exist and live. How far out in the solar system are we? Are we out to like Jupiter and stuff, or are we still pretty inward?
I want to go ahead and say that maybe our group is kind of on the cutting edge. Like we're going out a little bit farther than most people have. So maybe we've been as far as like Neptune, but most people stick around Jupiter or back, like the asteroid fields. Mars. I just thought of what the apocalypse could have been for Earth.
What do you got?
The moon fell.
Oh, I like it.
Like something put it off of its orbit and it just smash.
I like it.
So then we not only lost contact with Earth, but we also lost contact with the moon.
The moon.
The moon.
And that's cool too because what's that?
I still want space dinosaurs.
I stole my goddamn dinosaurs. So what could be cool here too is that there could still be a lot of near and high Earth orbit and beyond stuff. And so I'm kind of picturing like the shattered Earth is just this direct planet, and then the debris of the moon is still mostly in orbit around Earth, and then you have these like broken stations, because this is potentially like 100 years 150 years from now, and so there could still be a lot of stuff there, but it's dangerous as all hell. So like a lot of times we think, oh yeah, going out further is more dangerous. Like no, like the closer you are, the more dangerous it is. Like the further out you are, that's safer. It's safer to go and deal with that stuff.
There's less stuff in space out there.
But the richest and coolest stuff, that's really close. But then you have to deal with with all the bad. I like it. Okay. Let's see. Legacies. Okay, so first to third generation from Earth exist, live in the solar system. Most of the near planets are closer, all the bold kind of troubles in Neptune. Cool. Awesome. Do we have communities? Is it mostly like space station and ship living, and maybe like some isolated colonies on like moons and stuff?
That sounds good.
Okay.
Maybe some of them have alliances with each other, and some of them are just
I like that.
solo operators that hopefully have something to offer when they stop somewhere to refill. There could be one faction who's starting to try to like consolidate power.
Okay. And then we can think about who they are and everything. So leaders, is this largely isolated? Every community runs themselves, or are we finding now that they're starting to align with each other? Maybe not super strong, but to create like these tenuous alliances.
Yeah, maybe because there's the groups that are really trying to consolidate and grow their power. Like some of the other ones are starting to say like, okay, we're not cool with that, so we'll make an alliance with this person over here that will have each other's back to maybe try and buffer that a bit.
Mix of independent and aligned. I'm going to call them communities for now. Communities. Depending on where you are in the solar system, These factions, do we think that they are central to any area? Like, or is it mostly like the inner territories that are more factionalized, and then as you go further out, there's just less people, and so it's more of an independent streak?
Yeah, because I think the ones that are like closer to where Earth was, like they can get a lot more of the old tech, which can be useful, that they've scavenged. Whereas the further out you go, the more you're having to like get raw materials and things like that. So the faction that's trying to gain power is closer in, whereas as you go out, it gets more and more independent. Maybe with like pockets of where there's a colony, there might be groups of people that have formed alliances.
Okay, and then interlocated communities would be like Earth, Mars, and thereabouts.
Earth, Mars, and like the inner asteroids.
Okay.
And probably like the asteroid belt is where it starts to kind of get a little more dicey because it's a lot easier to hide in there, for one. And not everyone can navigate through effectively.
Cool. Okay, I like it. And then defense. Let's come over here. Oh, and what we didn't talk about with leaders. For the independents, those are going to be mostly, it's going to be a mixed bag of just whatever plays out there. But for the aligned communities, for these factions, what does that look like? Do you have anything in mind here? Are they more like, is it more of like, yeah, there's like these different factions, but they try to work together? Like, do they have this kind of weird tenuous kind of council thing where they try, oh, maybe that's where this whole thing came about. Like, the group that we're in, it was an attempt to say, hey, there's lots of stuff out there. Let's not just have it be a free-for-all. Let's work together to figure out like what contracts go to what, who goes to who. And then there's like a lot of gray area where everybody, of course, is trying to get a leg up on everybody. And that's where we operate, is in the gray area. Okay. So a pseudo-official council of, would these be like companies? Are they going to be more like families, or for these factions, what do we have in mind here?
Maybe like more like the communities.
Okay.
So it's like, the groups of people that have kind of been shoved together for their foreseeable future and will depend upon each other.
Okay. And what would be an example of one of these factions? If you have anything in mind, like what would be a community you have in mind?
Oh, maybe there's a community on Io.
Oh, so this would be like location specific community.
Yeah. And then, there's the colony on there, but then there might also be like specific ships that go out that are also connected with them. And they like, carry the name. So, if you mess with this ship, you also mess with this community or faction.
Okay. Well, this is good because this sounds like it's less specific about, like, oh, I'm the faction that does this. It's more about like, oh, we're the Mars faction, we're the Belt faction, we're the Io faction, and we just want the stuff because we have a community of people that need to survive. We have a collection of communities that need to survive and they need stuff. Yeah, I like that better actually. That's cool. Okay.
And then maybe there's been, an agreement between most all the factions of, this is the modus operandi when it comes to, doing this type of work. Like the scavenging. Like, here are the maritime rules.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. Defense.
Oh, you are also a person who spells gray with an E.
Is it supposed to be? Is it supposed to be? I can never remember.
So generally in American English, it's Gray, which always looks wrong to me.
Me too. That's why I'm always like, it should be E, right? I think it's E. Okay, defense. Okay. Is this like this almost feels like catch as catch can Wild West. The defense is where your blaster's at, kind of a thing. Or a space pistol.
And I think like the factions have their own defense.
Yeah.
I don't know that there would necessarily be a space force.
No.
Military that would take care of everyone.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would be more the communities taking care of themselves. So maybe like, the larger communities you definitely do not want to mess with because they might have some of the better, bounty hunters or just straight up hunters. Whereas, some of the smaller communities, if a ship goes missing, they might never find out.
Awesome. Cool. Okay. Mysticism. Okay. So this is where we could run into things
Space
out
dinosaur.
here. Space. So space dinosaurs? Other dinosaurs? Can I have a dinosaur? Is there? How big is the ship? Can I fit a dinosaur? Can I put a dinosaur on there? Where's my dinosaur at? I need my dinosaur. Did I say dinosaur?
I am 12 years old. Dinosaur.
I gotta have a dinosaur. I'm even wearing a dinosaur shirt. I need to have. Where's my dinosaur? Okay, let's see here. So,
Yeah, but you can have Batman.
That's right. Well, we're not to the space dinosaurs yet. That's when we come down into the beasts. So we'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get to space dinosaurs. Okay. So mysticism. Is there magic?
I mean, I love the idea of having magic in space.
Mm-hmm. So here's my thought. I want there to be. So like, remember in this game, there's the whole firstborn thing.
Mm-hmm.
I want us to like run into the equivalent. It doesn't have to be space elves, but the equivalent of like space elves that have merged their magic with tech. So they're like super high tech. Maybe there's not a lot of them, but we find their stuff about. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah,
that could be cool.
That might be some of the stuff that we're scavenging out near Neptune.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe that's why it's fortuitous or I don't know, useful to be out that far.
Yeah.
Because we find these other things.
So here's something else too. Maybe we find more of it as you get closer to Earth, because that's what helped to blow up the moon. And then it gives a reason for people to be coming in to Earth and the areas around it. Now, it's all mostly destroyed, so it's hard to find things, and it's incredibly dangerous. And everybody's looking for that, that special thing that's there. But maybe most of these high tech things that we find, the space magic tech, were probably found from around there. Or maybe not recently, but a long time ago. And then every once in a while you hear a story about somebody found that thing that was at that station that was, caught in between the, what do you call it, and the space dinosaur that was floating around Earth. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you're saying that we would find that material closer to Earth?
Potentially. I mean, it's not to say that you wouldn't only find it on Earth, but I have a feel like it feels like a nice connection to have the space tech magic be tied to the moon falling into Earth apocalypse. And then adds more danger to bring people back and desire to bring people back into scavenging for things on Earth. But incredibly dangerous. That doesn't mean we have to start there, because I sure shit don't want to start there.
Magic moon dust.
Exactly. But it's not to say that we wouldn't find things elsewhere. They probably sent some of this stuff out to research territories, and then heck, we may even find a ship of something out
Space dinosaurs.
Right next to that space dinosaur. Mm-hmm. Yep. I like it.
A ship full of space dinosaurs. That's all it is.
And entirely full of space dinosaurs. Okay, cool. So let's see.
It's like the Ark.
I like
but
it.
for dinosaurs.
I like it. I think the firstborn at this point need to be intelligent space dinosaurs. Yeah. Can we do like here we go. Anthropomorphized intelligent space dinosaurs, and they're the firstborn. It's not space elves. It's space dinosaurs.
Yeah. Dinosaurs. Space
I like
lizards.
it. Space lizards, exactly. I dig it. I dig it. Okay. So mysticism, magic, space magic exists in the form of high tech equipment, high tech stuff.
Stuff. And
Right.
things.
And things. Oh, and religion? No, a little further down. Go to the firstborn.
Ah.
I'm just gonna put it everywhere. At the religion, dinosaurs. The firstborn, dinosaurs.
My religion is the space dinosaurs. I don't know what you're talking.
Dinosaurs. I said the word dinosaurs. Damn. Boom. Got it. Fixed. Okay. High-tech stuff and things we find scattered around the system. Found heavily around Earth orbit. Okay. Okay. Firstborn is the anthropomorphized dinosaur, space lizards, and then space whales. Do we want space whales to be in the beast category?
I saw them as like the giants, which weren't necessarily the spaceborn, but they weren't beasts either.
Okay. So these are like intelligent whales.
Like another intelligent, sentient being who is older than we are, but
For
probably like keeps further outside of the politics and areas associated with humans.
Okay. Cool. And do we know what their deal is, or are they like mysterious unknown?
Ooh.
We just see them in passing. We're like, we wave as they...
We can hear their songs sometimes.
Where's the nearest gas station? Okay. Cool. Do we have religion? Do we care?
I wanna say like maybe we threw out religion when the apocalypse happened. Everyone was just like straight up like, nope, walk away from the table.
Fuck this shit.
And maybe that's added to some of the problems that our society has. Or maybe it's made it better. Who knows? We'll discover in play, maybe.
I like it. Survey says no. Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay. Beasts. Okay. I feel like we need some kind of scary beast creatures that are going to be on some of these places that we're scavenging from. Not all the time, but
yeah,
I think there needs to be like spacefaring beasts that also want to find these wrecks and go in them, and they're probably like they're probably looking for like that same space magic tech that we try to go after too, like something they're drawn to it. And so they
heat.
The what's that?
What if they're drawn to heat, like warmth?
I dig it.
And there's something about these pieces of machinery magic that is warmer than the outside. But then if we show up, we're even warmer, and so problems happen.
I like it.
It would be interesting if there was more than just one type.
Absolutely. There
Yeah.
should totally be different types.
Yeah. So one of the creepiest stories I've ever read is
Mm-hmm.
actually about mushrooms
Oh, jeez.
and how they just kind of start spreading and
Mm-hmm.
continue to spread, and like you can't stop it. So maybe having some sort of space mushroom that once it's like implanted on something, it's almost
Oh.
impossible to get rid of.
Yeah, yeah.
So like, don't touch that shit because then you'll become a space mushroom.
I like it. I like it. I think that's part of it. I think that this is like this would be their what do you call it? Oh, you know what? I almost want everything to come from this. Maybe it started with the space, mushroom spore thing, and
Ooh.
then in particularly spread colonies of it, it evolves. So like it starts off as just like, oh look, it's mushrooms, and oh look, it's some spores, and as long
Yeah.
as you're wearing your mask, you're okay. But then if left to mature for a while, or if given or if given the appropriate genetic material,
Ooh.
um, it will become more.
Evolve.
Uh-huh. And it'd be cool if it can change itself, because you had the idea of if they were different. And what if like the thing it evolves to, it's based on its environment. So like if it's in space, it may be different. If it's in like an engine core or somewhere it's really hot, it's different. If it's on a moon or like inside of an asteroid, it's different. That way, whenever we come here, it can be, it's a mushroom creature. Oh, well, shit, what the hell does this one look like?
Yeah.
Yep, I like that.
Well, I like that you said it might depend on the genetic material that
Yeah.
it fits. So I mean, some of them could be humanoid, some of them could look like cats, or some really awful combination of the two,
Mm-hmm.
or bears.
Mm.
Owl
Oh,
bears in space.
or what happens if it gets its hands on the space lizards, or worse, a space whale? Mm-hmm.
Ooh, giant
Mm-hmm.
space whale
Shroom.
spore.
Yep. Gross.
A spore whale.
Mm-hmm. Let's give it genetic material.
That probably do a lot of damage. Ooh, what if that's the thing that ran into the moon?
Uh-huh. All these questions. Okay.
So many
Hor-
possibilities.
Horrors, as if this isn't enough. Let's see here. Do
Yeah.
we feel the need to throw horrors in this? I feel like no. Like I again, coming back to the theme of this, I would prefer the focus to be more on like just the ins and outs of living this life and all the craziness that comes in here. I feel like this gives enough rude. But do you have something in mind for horrors?
I don't know if this is fit for horrors or just be something else, but what if there's like a space sickness where you people who've been out there too long on their own, or even like whole ships, they have these like crazy stories, and people have gone just out of their mind and done really horrible shit.
So how about this? How about we tie the space magic? So what if the space magic wasn't created by the space dinosaurs, the space lizards? It was used by them. Maybe like they can deal with it. They found it at one point and they brought it here. But when humans use it, like whatever is in there, whatever created it, starts to mess with us. And the more you use it, and the more exposure you have to it, the more the horrors come through.
Oh.
Because they're really powerful, and we want them. But then the more exposure you have to it, the more it digs into you.
Yeah.
In a metaphorical sense.
Yeah, and then it probably manifests differently in each person because we're all different in our brains.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Mm-hmm. It's not mesh well with humans. I dig it.
Never good.
Never. Okay, cool. Okay, so theme. And I'm actually gonna put this right down here. Theme. Oop.
Do we want to do theme now, or do we want to do that maybe after we've created characters?
Maybe after we create characters, but I think it would be good. Like, I think base level. I would like this to be about us as scavengers. Like I want us to have like a clear coming into our characters. I want us to have a clear approach on maybe not what kind of characters we're going to be, but the business we're in.
Okay.
The business that we're about. And if you're cool with it, I'd like us to be siblings. Our characters to be siblings.
Cool.
Because we're in it together. We're gonna be sisters in it together.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I'm older.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And then I feel like arc. This is what I have in my mind, arc wise. I don't want us to have us been doing this for a while. Like we got our charter or whatever thing, and we're in it. Yeah, like we're full of bluster. We totally know what we're getting into, but we totally fucking don't. Yeah. We know our business, but we just don't know like what it's really like, kind of a thing. Maybe.
We're full of youthful optimism.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And
cool.
naivete.
Yep, I like it. Okay.
We are acquisition specialists.
Mm-hmm.
So does this mean we have like our own
ship?
Like, I don't know, group? Do we need to have a group name?
We could have a group name. I'm probably going to be taking at least one a companion, but human, because you can take human companions. So like in my mind, I'm definitely going to be taking at least one companion. This would be like our crew, because we have to have crew. I mean, we don't have to, but it'd be nice.
Who needs to fly this ship? They can fly themselves.
We don't have to. Yep. Okay. But with no real experience. Okay. And then we are not. How about we're not aligned to any faction or group or anything yet? Maybe we will be. Maybe we won't be. Who cares?
Yeah. So okay. Maybe we've like secured our own ship, and we've got our signets, but we didn't necessarily belong to any specific faction beforehand because we were so far in the fringe.
Yep.
So that would give us the possibility of being able to like attach to a faction.
Yeah.
At some point.
Yep. If we desire to. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Or we just go to them.
Yep. I like it. Okay,
Space
cool.
Wolf.
Space. Okay.
That could be our name. We are the Space Wolves.
Space Wolves.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then perhaps that's what we have as our signet is like the wolf.
I like it.
Maybe that's our last name, and that's why we chose it.
Yeah, WOLFE, and it's the picture of a wolf as told by like secondhand telling. Which looks nothing like a wolf, but way cooler.
I'm thinking of like those T-shirts that were really popular for forever with just like the head of the wolf like howling
with the moon in the background.
I'm thinking of that.
Exactly. Yeah, but it has like wings on it too, and like huge fangs, and it's like much larger and beefy. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And like a unicorn horn as well. Yeah. A wolf.
Is it a horn or is it a tooth?
Oh, more teeth. It's like random teeth coming.
Well, I'm thinking of like a narwhal.
Oh, yeah.
It's actually a tooth.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, let's see here. So, do you have the the assets master
Yes.
set, no backs. And actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create new characters. So